Hi everybody, I'm Harry Plakow. Welcome to another Artist Corner. We have a very special guest with us tonight, Karen Royer. She's multi-talented in so many different media. We're going to be talking to her, going to be featuring her work. Welcome.
Thank you, Harry. It's so nice
Very
to be
nice
here.
to be. Oh, it's wonderful to have you here.
Thank
as
you.
well. You brought in some photos.
I did.
Of some stuff.
Yep.
Jerry, why don't you punch up the first photo that we got? Tell us about this photo.
So people are amused when they see this photo because it's kind of an eerie image.
Yeah.
When I sculpt the dolls' heads, I sculpt them in a clay called plastilina, and in a warm environment that can slump a little bit.
Yeah.
So I stick the doll's head in my freezer. And you've never seen a more startled look when somebody opens my freezer door and sees this head glancing out at them. But
Wow.
she's wet because she came out and started to condense.
You made that.
Yeah, so I sculpt in the clay, and then I'll build a plaster mold out of that.
Yeah.
And then I pour the plaster mold with a porcelain slip.
Yeah.
And you'll see the result in one of the next photos. Her name is Anzu, and she won the Rolf Erickson Award for original doll art at a
Jerry, bring that one up.
show
man.
in.
No, there. Oh my God.
So now this is Anzu. This was after she had been poured in porcelain,
Yeah.
and then I do the painting on her. Her costume is made with a wool felt. I was trying to copy a technique that Lency did with their dolls. Lency made felt dolls.
Oh.
So her costume is all pieced together with little bits of
Look at the
wool
detail
felt.
in it. That's absolutely.
Yeah, I love
amazing.
that costume. That was a fun one to
She
do.
had 6 toes in that.
Did she have
No.
6 toes? I thought it was the 6 fingers that I missed.
At any time, does this go into a kiln?
Yeah, so I had a kiln at the time, and it will fire to about, I think, 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's 2 processes. The first one, you fire to a soft fire, and then you can pull it out and clean up things like the seams and add a little bit more detail back in
Yeah.
that might have gotten missed in the pour. And then you put it back in and you fire it again
Yeah.
up to a higher temperature. And then every time you put a new layer of paint on the doll, you have to refire it.
my
So
God.
yeah, it's quite a process.
Let's go to the next one, Jerry.
So this is Brianna. She was the first doll that I made in that same process. And she won a Best of Show and Judge's Choice at a doll show in San Francisco. So I have a particular fondness for this
What
one.
was the prize?
It's just the blue
The
ribbon,
status.
and it's all part of a process of getting my master doll making certificate. So I'm actually considered a master doll maker.
Wow. Next
So-
one, Jerry.
So this is a mosaic that I built for the floor of my family room. We had a new home being built, and I wanted to do something interesting.
Is it tiles?
It's all little 1-inch. The big pink tiles are 1-inch glass tiles. The theme was from this tiny seed, a mighty tree will grow.
Okay.
It was my kids. I was kind of thinking of my kids when I built that, and it's our family room. So.
How many tiles?
Oh gosh, I don't know. It's 4 foot by 4 foot. So if you look at all those tiles, thousands.
My,
Yeah.
How long did it take you?
That took me several months. So I put the tiles on a sticky plastic and in the reverse.
Yeah.
And then you put some glue on the back of each tile, and the whole thing gets flipped over at some point. So yeah.
Is it easy to maintain?
It is. It's just like regular tile. You can walk on it. You know, people actually walk around it, but it's completely walkable.
Wow. I'm going to have to make it up there to see what it looks like.
So this is a wall from a spaceship that I modeled in 3D Studio Max, and it was an exercise in grunge. The original idea for the wall was take an ordinary object and model something from it, and I took the base of my sneaker, so if you actually look at it, it kind of looks like a little
Punch
sneaker.
that up again, Jer.
So you can see
Your
sort of.
sneakers?
Yeah, so like on the right and left side of that center fan are kind of the base, the bottom
Yeah.
tread of a sneaker.
Oh my God.
You can kind of see it once you are looking for it. You can see the tread of the sneaker.
What is that made with?
So that's all ether. Those are polys and verts, and it's all in a modeling, 3D modeling, digital modeling program. Yeah.
So was this printed on a 3D printer at all?
I never did print that one. I
Yeah.
have done some 3D printing, but that one was part of a spaceship. So
Oh.
it would be for a video game or some other scene that you would keep in 3D.
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, now see, I have a soft spot for this. This is a Cryptix, and this one I made just about the time that Da Vinci Code was out. You remember
tell
that?
me what you called it, a cryptic?
It's a Cryptix.
Wait,
It's a coding device that Thomas Jefferson invented, and they used it all the way through the Revolutionary War. But that particular one was modeled again in 3D Studio Max, and it's not, you can't actually put your hands on it. It's up in the ether somewhere.
What is it made with?
So the model is done where you're, creating these polygons, and you push the verts around. I don't know how
Did you
and then-
carve the numbers and the letters?
so that's all in the ether. It's digital. It's not something. It's not actually a real thing. That doesn't actually exist anywhere. It's just
You
a
put
picture.
it together on your computer?
I did, yeah. I put it on the computer. The textures for that were all built in Photoshop. So that's all.
What type of art? What do you call that type of art?
It's considered digital art.
Digital art.
And you can use those as assets in video games, or like I said, any kind of a scene that you might need. Sometimes with CGI, you can add that in background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
So
Next one, Jer.
I love trying to fool the eye. So this one was one where I was trying to fool the eye. This is actually another digital model.
Yeah.
It is not real. It exists only on my computer. And this one was an exercise in what they called subsurface scattering. The knife is made out of horn.
Of
The
what?
original knife was made out of horn, the handle of it.
What kind of horn?
I'm not sure. I think maybe a deer horn, because it's a European. It's a Lyell knife.
Yeah.
And so what I was trying to show was the way that light comes through, and you can see it on the cutting board that knife
Did
was
you
on.
have a plan for this? Had you mapped it out prior to shooting it?
Yeah,
Taking
so
the photo?
actually, yes, that's a good question. So what you do with models like this is you have to have some kind of a photo to work off with, a kind of a, I don't know, not quite sure the term,
A
but
sketch.
yeah, a sketch. So you can actually model with that in the scene, and then
Yeah.
you take that back out again. So
Cool.
it looks like what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
The scale is right.
Oh.
So this was a scene. We were walking around the lovely little island that my parents live on, and
Where?
in Rhode Island, down in Galilee.
Oh.
And I happened to have my cell phone with me. And there was something about that scene that just struck me as a very peaceful
Oh, it's beautiful.
scene, and so that's what you can do with a cell phone.
I thought it may have been Nova Scotia. I was up there last year, and I saw a scene very much like that in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
So your folks live in Galilee?
They do live down there in Galilee. We spent summers there when I was a kid, and when they retired, they built a home down on this island, and it's
On
really
the
beautiful.
island?
Yeah. So if you
How did they get to the mainland?
have you ever been to Block Island before?
Yes.
So when you go down, that's Galilee. Usually you,
Yep.
you leave from Galilee.
Yeah.
Well, if you go to the left, you go into the center of Galilee. If you go to the right, you go onto this little island that they live on.
Oh, for God's sakes.
So it's a beautiful little village.
Does 108 go through the island?
No, this is like way out on the tip, over by Point Judith.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, it's
Okay. What do we got here?
So this is your friend Mike, my husband.
Yeah.
We were out doing, we like to do astronomy. We like looking at the stars at night with a telescope. And I was playing around with my brand new Samsung camera, trying to see, I like to break things. So I pushed the limits of my media, and I was pushing the limits of the camera to see what I could get at nighttime. So this was trying to capture a nighttime photo.
Does the tripod you have, does it have a clock?
No, it doesn't. It has a little, like it's got the standard level and things like that, but no, not a clock on it.
Was the camera connected directly to the telescope?
No, I have my Samsung mirrorless connects to my cell phone, so I actually use my cell phone as a trigger for the shutter release for my.
Incredible.
I know, right? Cameras are amazing these
know.
days. Yeah. So the bright light you see up there are the lights of Boston. And
Show that one again, Jared. Let me see that.
so you can, yeah. So he's up in Bolton. I'm shooting toward the east, and the lights that you see at the bottom. The only reason we were able to take that shot was because the lights of Boston were behind him.
Right.
Yeah.
Next one, Jared.
So this was a photo I took up in Mürren, Switzerland. I was visiting my folks. They get around. And this was, you just walk by something and you go, I really like the way, well, first of all, that was the intensity of the colors really struck me. Gorgeous blue sky and a sunny day, and so.
Very much Switzerland. Next one, Jared.
Oh, now this is a lot of fun. So this is a picture in stereo.
Yeah. You use a stereo camera.
I actually use an attachment that I built. I have been in love with stereo images since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to capture stereo photos and did a little bit of research and found a way that I could put an attachment. I built an attachment for the front of my camera that uses mirrors, and it will split the camera lens in half, so you get that great sense of motion and movement all at the same time.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Was that shot at the King Richard's Fair?
It was, yeah. It was taken over at King Richard's, and a good day. This next shot that you'll see is really captures the sense of movement that you can get with this stereo photo duplicon, splitting that screen.
Yeah, bring it up, Jer. The next one.
Yeah, so you can see it's, and instantly there's tons of movement in there. You would not be able to do that with a two-shot process. It had to have been one shot, and both images, your left and your right, were taken all at the same time.
Do I see somebody suspended?
I was going to say there is a third. So you saw the first person in there? There is a second person hiding in that photo.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, she helps to fill out that kind of bloom on the on the silk.
Now, where's,
on the top right, you see her. Yeah, she's kind of hiding underneath the silk. There's one obviously on the left, and then underneath, if you look real close, you can kind of see a dark spot. That's her head. There's a second woman hanging there. Yeah. But have you been to King Richard's?
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
I love the turkey legs. I go down for the turkey legs.
Yeah, they're delicious.
Yeah. Next one, Jer.
And so there we are with the lace
I want
eggs.
to talk to you about this.
All right.
This is absolutely phenomenal. They're eggs.
They
came from a chicken.
Well, the big ones came from a goose. I think the goose would object to being called a chicken. But so the ones on the bottom and front are chicken eggs. And
how do you do that?
I have this terrific tool. It runs at 400,000 revolutions per minute. It's like a dentist tool. Sounds like a dentist tool. It's air cooled rather than water cooled. And you just, the first few times I did it, I've had eggshells around on my dining room counter.
How do you get the yolk out of there? How do you get the innards to only have a shell? How do you do that?
When we were kids, we used to drill holes in the top and the bottom of the eggs and then just kind of blow them out. But now there's a tool that I have that's terrific. It only needs to put a hole in the bottom, and it pumps air into the egg, and that pushes the yolk.
So you have two holes holes in the egg.
Now I can do it with only one hole, and I prefer that. So like in this egg here, we have only the one hole on the bottom and no hole on the top, which is, I think it's a much more continuous
That has
egg.
symmetry, though. It's not a free-formed egg.
No.
That was carefully planned out.
It is actually, it's considered computational crafting. This is where I use a little piece of paper that I strip around there, and that actually is based on 6. Most eggs I do are based on 8. So this has 6 stars around it. It's kind of hard to divide the egg into thirds. That was my
Absolutely
big
incredible.
problem. So.
That's phenomenal. How long does it take you to do something like that?
So
Oh, and is it a white egg or a brown egg that you prefer?
I actually like to use a kind of a combination of both. I've had a lot of fun doing a lot of different processes with the eggs. As you can see, I like to do the Ukrainian eggs, the lace eggs. Just for fun, one day I wanted to see, again, I'm breaking the limits, pushing the limits. I used a black Sharpie marker, and that's
Yeah.
the one that you see up front.
Yeah.
But I like the white ones take, the tall lace eggs can be 2, 3 hours, 4 hours. The Ukrainian ones take longer because there's a series of dyes that you have to put it
Why
through.
do you call them Ukrainian?
So they are, it's a traditional craft from the Ukraine, usually done around Easter time. Or it was actually way back when in the spring. It was a pagan thing that has been subverted by the Christian church into
Okay.
being more of a religious thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
you'll see a lot of designs on there that have to do with farming, plants and animals.
It's their form of quilt.
Yeah, it is, and it's interesting because they tell stories like quilts do
Yes,
too.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
What's next?
Yeah.
Jen, this doll's name is?
She is a brew. I don't know that she has a name.
She
Let me
doesn't
just
have a
double
name?
check. Brew.
Well, you're looking at a
She would
label.
just
It
have
says made in
an-
Japan.
No. So she doesn't actually have a name. Shall I pick a name for her?
Sure.
What do you think?
We gotta have a name for her.
How about Lisette?
Lisette?
Because she's French.
How do you know she's
Lisette.
French?
Because she was made by, oh, look at that picture.
Isn't that great?
Isn't that beautiful?
What a doll.
Yeah. So she's made by Brew.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're still filming right now.
Wait a minute, she's made by Brew? I thought you made it.
So she's an antique reproduction doll. This was part of getting my Master of Doll Making certificate.
Yeah.
You had to do a little bit of the original doll art, but also with this, the process is to become as close to the original dolls as possible.
Oh, okay.
So she was originally sold by a company called Brew in France, and her name is Lisette, like I was telling you.
Okay.
And then every part of this doll was something that you had to make. So for instance, I made her hat. I made her, I didn't make her wig. That part I have to say I didn't make, or her body.
Now, when you make the clothes, were you there with a sewing machine?
I did, and I'm going to rotate this as they're looking at it because the detail on the back of this doll
Oh,
is as
yeah.
beautiful as
Yes,
the
check that
detail on
out.
the front. So her shoes were handmade, and her socks were handmade.
Is it leather?
It is leather,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, and I built a pattern for the socks for her,
Yeah.
for her costume. She is made in silk with Belgian laces.
So this is a reproduction. You had a
This is a-
photo where you saw the real object.
Right. In fact, you have to do some research. So you go and you look through all of the books that are available of the antique dolls.
Yeah.
And you pick one that sort of looks like what you want. And I liked the blonde Brew doll,
Yeah.
so I chose to do the blonde version. And then, you find a costume that looks like, one that you want to work on. And I was intrigued by the pleats on the back of this one.
Now tell me how you got, what is this Masters in Doll Making all about?
So
Do you get a certificate?
I do, and in the day, people recognize that as you go through a series, I think, of 9 different courses where you paint various different reproduction dolls, and you learn the brushstroke work, and a lot of that fine detail work is techniques that I've brought into the other areas of what I do. It's
Yeah.
that, getting down and working with the fine detail on
Incredible.
things. So.
Absolutely incredible. Is this scheduled to be exhibited or submitted for an award?
She was submitted.
This is your master's in doll making?
Yes, so this was the epitome. This was the final doll that I submitted to achieve the Master Doll Maker. Part of the work on her, you actually have to look at photographs and see the angle. I mean, like literally, you are trying to create almost a forgery of the original.
Yeah.
The eyelashes have to be just in the right orientation. The eyebrows, the same number of eyebrows, and the judges will actually, I'm not kidding you, the judges will count the number of eyebrow hairs that you have on these dolls. Yeah. So this is not one I modeled. She was just part of learning how to do the porcelain dolls.
Yeah.
But all the costume was something that I made.
And you went through some kind of an apprentice program with all the courses that you were
Absolutely, yeah, you did. And along the way, you had to submit your dolls, that you had made for different classes to these doll shows that they have throughout the U.S. And this one particular, in order to get your master's certificate, you have to win a blue ribbon. And I'm telling you, winning a blue ribbon for these antique dolls is really, really hard to do.
Who underwrites the certification?
So that was a company called Sealy's. And Sealy's is not around anymore. They were the porcelain slip company that was promoting these dolls. There are other doll associations that you can belong to. Mine was called the Doll Artisan Guild. And there are other ones that you can participate in. Even today, I was looking at one a couple days ago. A fellow I used to meet at the shows was Jack Johnston, and he has a similar program. I think he took up where Sealy's left off.
Okay.
So if you look for Jack Johnston on the web, you can find his.
Where can somebody see your work? Anything coming up?
I have a couple of things coming up. Currently, there are some of my lace eggs in the library at WPI. They have a show of alumni and students work there. And then coming up, we have PAX East, which is a gaming convention in the beginning of April, and I'll be doing a 2-hour art demonstration for PAX East. I'm really proud of that.
And where's that going to take place?
So that in Boston, down in I think it's in South Boston.
Okay.
And then I'm currently teaching a class in the Ukrainian eggs over at WPI as part of an effort WPI is making to join this wave of maker movement where we're making more, going back to the traditional crafts and combining them with maybe AI or other artificial intelligence.
Well, I
For
don't
instance,
have that.
my class, I was thinking what we might do next is we're going to what they call gamify the egg. We're going to build a game out of building these eggs.
Wow.
So I'm thinking that we'll have an artificial intelligence design the design that you have to make, and then you have to copy what the machine is telling you to copy. So it's not the machine working for you, but you working for the machine.
I'm overwhelmed. I'm 70 years old, and this stuff overwhelms me.
Oh, you're.
I'm old.
No, you're good.
You made this.
I did. This is a quilt called the Bargello quilt.
Bargello. Why is it called that? What's that all about?
Actually, this is interesting. It's a computational craft. Again, I used the computer to plan out where I was going to put the various colors. You start out with varying strips of widths, and you fold it and sew, fold it and sew, fold it and sew.
When you say you did this on a computer, is your sewing machine computerized?
Mine is not. What I did was I decided I want my line, the line that this artwork goes, to do something like that. So I just drew a swoop on my computer. And then I used some almost like pixels to decide where I was going to place these to make that curve fit the curve of the computer.
Right.
This, I think, probably start to finish was about a week.
A week.
Yeah, evenings. I do other stuff during the day. So, a week in the evening. And this is self-quilted, so you don't actually have to go back and quilt this once you're done. You literally sew down the pieces of fabric and then fold it over, and then sew the next one and fold it over. So you never really have to quilt this. That's one of the nice things about this.
Is there no end to your creative genius, Karen Roy?
You flatter me.
You're amazing.
Thank you very much.
You're absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you, Harry. I really appreciate you
My
inviting
pleasure.
me. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for stopping by the Artist Corner. We'll be back next month with a photographer. His name is Patrick. I forgot his last name. Anyway, take care. Be well. If you're so blessed, give your mom a call. And if it's within your purview, hire a vet. Bye-bye, everybody.